America, 2024, it's election night and the tension is thicker than a bowl of grits at a Trump rally. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Round 2, it's a rematch for the history books, folks, and early polls show a race tighter than a pair of skinny jeans on a hippopotamus. Buckle up, because this ride is far from over. We're talking razor-thin margins, the kind that make a hanging Chad look like a billboard. Experts are predicting delays, recounts, and enough legal challenges to make even the most jaded lawyer say, "This is getting ridiculous." The possibility of a swift resolution, about as likely as Trump admitting he lost in 2020. So, what does this mean for you, the average anxiety-ridden American? Well, for starters, don't expect a winner declared tonight. In fact, don't be surprised if we're still biting our nails well into next week. This thing could drag on longer than a season of The Bachelor, and trust me, there will be just as much drama. The bottom line, get comfortable, stock up on snacks, and prepare for a long, bumpy ride. This is American democracy in action, folks, and sometimes it's messy, but hey, at least it's not boring. Remember 2020? Yeah, that nail-biter of an election. It took days, nay weeks, to finally call a winner. Pennsylvania, that keystone of electoral suspense, kept us on the edge of our seats right up until the bitter end, and who could forget the red mirage? Early leads that vanished faster than a Trump Tower condo buyer's remorse. But hey, it wasn't always this way. Back in the good old days, read 2016, Trump's victory was announced faster than you could say grab him by the, well, you know the rest. And Obama's 2012 win? A relative cakewalk projected before most folks had finished their second helping of election night pizza. But then, there's the granddaddy of all election delays, the 2000 Bush v. Gore saga. Florida, you magnificent mess, you kept us hanging for 5 excruciating weeks. Recounts, lawsuits, Supreme Court interventions, it had everything but a halftime show. The lesson? Sometimes democracy takes its sweet, sweet time. So, as we anxiously await the 2024 results, let's remember that patience is a virtue. And if all else fails, there's always whiskey. Forget the coasts, folks. In this election, it's all about the heartland. We're talking 7 key states, the battlegrounds where dreams are made and shattered: Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, and Nevada. These swing states are the electoral equivalent of a game of Jenga one wrong move, and the whole thing could come crashing down. Georgia, with its recent history of flipping blue, is a hotbed of anticipation. North Carolina, always a wild card, is keeping everyone guessing. And Pennsylvania? Well, let's just say they're in no rush to make up their minds. Michigan and Wisconsin, those Midwestern powerhouses, are also shaping up to be nail-biters. Arizona, once a Republican stronghold, is now a toss-up. And Nevada, with its independent streak, could go either way. So keep your eyes glued to these swing states, folks. They're the keys to the kingdom, the deciders of destiny. It's gonna be a wild ride. Hold your horses, folks. Just because early voting Remember the red mirage of 2020? Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sure, more people than ever are casting their ballots early, either by mail or in person. And yes, Democrats traditionally dominate early voting. But Republicans are no slouches this time around. They're early voting in droves, making it. While those early numbers might give us some clues, they're not a crystal ball. It's like trying to predict the Super can happen. The moral of the story? Don't put too much stock in early voting data. It's just one piece of a very complicated puzzle. Section 5. Inside the count, a meticulous process. Behind the scenes, away from the cable news shouting matches and Twitter wars, a dedicated army of election workers is hard at work. These unsung heroes of democracy are the ones who actually make sure your vote counts. It's a meticulous process, folks. We're talking signature verification, ballot counting, recounts, and audits. Every I dotted, every T crossed. Think of it as the world's most boring game of Where's Waldo, except the stakes are slightly higher. First, those election day votes get tallied, then come the early votes, followed by the mail-in ballots. And finally, the stragglers, those overseas ballots and provisional votes that require extra scrutiny. It's a long, tedious process, but it's the backbone of our democracy. So next time you see an election worker, give them a nod of thanks. They're the real MVPs. Section 6. The Electoral College, a system under scrutiny. Ah, the Electoral College. that quirky, often confusing system that determines who actually wins the presidency. It's the electoral equivalent of a participation trophy, where winning the Each state gets a certain number of electoral votes based on its population. Win the state, win the and you're the big cheese. But here's the popular vote, as we saw in 2016. This Electoral College is undemocratic and should be abolished. Others defend it, arguing that it protects the interests only on large urban areas. It's a debate that's like Section 7. What if? Tie scenarios and contingencies. Okay folks, let's delve into the realm of the highly improbable but not entirely impossible. The dreaded electoral tie. It's like finding a unicorn riding a unicycle while juggling chainsaws, rare but technically feasible. If by some cosmic coincidence Harris and Trump end up with 269 the House of Representatives gets to play kingmaker, with each state delegation getting one vote to choose the president. The Senate, meanwhile, gets to pick the vice president. It's a scenario that hasn't happened in over 2 centuries, but hey, 2024 seems like the year for breaking all the rules. If it does come to pass, just remember to stock. Section 8, Inauguration Day. A new chapter begins. After all the votes are counted, the recounts completed, and the legal challenges exhausted, one candidate will emerge victorious. And on January 20th, 2025, they'll stand on the steps of the U.S. Capitol and take the oath of office. It's a day steeped in tradition, a symbol of the peaceful transfer of power that has defined American democracy for over 2 centuries. The outgoing president, hopefully, bids farewell. The incoming president lays out their vision for the future, and the country takes a collective, deep breath. It's a new beginning, a chance to heal divisions and move forward as a nation. At least that's the hope. But hey, this is America, and we all know how much we love a good sequel. So buckle up, folks. The 2024 election might be over, but the drama is far from finished.